Good evening, everyone. Today is Sunday, October 8th, 2023, and we are all here for Witness to History. I'm Donna Whyte, as you all know, and this is an opportunity for Moreland neighbors to get to know each other better. Hopefully, this is a bright and sunny day as it is today. We are actually recording, so we know what a beautiful, beautiful fall day it is today in Cleveland. So welcome, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well. We have the pleasure this evening of interviewing Dwight Gilmore, who we all know, and we're going to have a wonderful conversation this evening. How are you doing, Dwight?
I'm doing good.
That's good.
I had a good morning.
That's
and
good.
I'm sort of looking forward to this.
Yes.
Because I feel it's the right time, the right place to do it. That's just how I've been thinking for quite some time now.
Yes. We've been talking about this for quite a while.
Yeah.
And as you can see, possibly, I'm not in my living room, as I usually am, but we have the opportunity to be here at the Shaker Heights Public Library. So our background's a little bit different. And as usual, we see the scroll of all of our neighbors who have been interviewed on Witness to History. And so your picture will be up there, Dwight, as well, as soon as we have the opportunity to talk to you and add you to this wonderful, wonderful collage of people who have been a part of Witness to History. I do my thank yous, as always, and I would like to thank John Dutton, who is here. He's doing the recording and working his magic as always. And I would like to thank Megan Hayes, who posts all of our Witness to History recordings on the Shaker Heights Public Library website, as well as Dwight, certainly thank you, as well as Theo Darden, who helps to inform everybody about Witness to History. And I can never have Witness to History without thanking Kevin Kay for bringing this to us during the pandemic in 2020. So we started Witness to History in July of 2020, and I've lost count. We're in the number 30-something. All right. So without further ado, we're going to have a conversation, Dwight.
Yes, I don't mind.
Yeah, good. So as always, we see this wonderful picture of Dwight Gilmore as a baby. And like I was saying when you came in, you have not changed. I mean, your pictures look the same. I looked at some of the pictures of you when you were a child, and you are exactly the same. We need to know what your secret is.
I remember Mom would say, Dwight could fall asleep anywhere. He could fall asleep in a chair. And I think I sort of get that today sometimes. It don't take long, you get this little pattern. You're out like a light.
That's wonderful. You're a happy baby. You're a really happy baby. Thank you for that wonderful picture. So as I usually start off, I ask our guests, when and why did you move to Shaker Heights?
Well, my parents, of course, ended up being, my mom passed away back in 95, and then he remarried in 96. So I guess I was sort of left me out in a limbo to the point we ended up coming out here to Ohio, to Cleveland, which my dad, we changed over to the Amish country area before he came over. My brother drove halfway, and then he picked me up the other half and drove me on here to Cleveland.
Okay.
Back in 15 years ago.
Okay, 15 years ago.
15
years ago.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I want to say about Dwight is that, you're so much a part of our community. It took a while for me to realize you didn't actually live in the Moreland neighborhood.
Right.
But, you always say you're on Winslow, so
Yes.
that's where you are.
I actually...
In the historic district of Winslow.
When I first moved here to Ohio, I lived in a group home for a year, and there were like 10 upstairs, 10 downstairs, and of course they give you all the stuff. They give you your meals. They give you they do all your laundry for you, sort of thing, for a year, and then moved over onto Warrensville as apartment complex.
Okay.
And lived there for a year. And then after that, I moved here out to Winslow.
Yes.
So the first 2 years, I was in the area, but I wasn't on Winslow.
Yes.
I just was
So you
in the
found
area
Shaker
at the time.
Heights. Thank goodness you
Yeah.
found Shaker Heights, and you found us. You
Right,
found the Moreland
right,
neighborhood.
right.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about your family, your parents, and just the amazing lives that they had and what brought you here to Cleveland. We have a picture here of your father and your mother, and you talk about your father a little bit. And his name was
Hayden.
Hayden.
But sometimes
Hayden
he would
Gilmore.
get Mel. And sometimes his first name they would add E, but there's no
yes.
E in Hayden.
Right.
H-E-Y, because I think it's there's a I forget, some kind of a author, it's a different author. I
Well,
can't
it's
remember
memorable
that part.
without
Yeah,
the E.
it's memorable.
It's more memorable
Very
without the E.
memorable picture.
Yes. Well, tell
Yeah.
us a bit about your parents. What your father has a uniform on here. So tell us about
dad
your
was
father.
My dad was a chaplain in the Air Force, and he was. He sometimes get witty. He sometimes get a little too witty. It's just why I didn't really. And so I would try to give him stuff. Don't be so witty all the time. It's just the humor. It's okay if you're witty, but not overly witty. You know, there's a fine line, I feel, between that sort of thing. But
And your mother, and that's
yeah, he was
holding you. And your mother's, what was your mother's
She's very,
name?
very quiet. I think today she's very quiet, and I don't think they grew up, of course, two different households. But I think her family life. I think she would never raise her voice. She would never raise her voice. It was, and like I feel she's more like laid back sort of feeling, pretty laid back.
Well, I understand that your parents met in Philadelphia. They were
In
students at Temple University in
Temple,
Philly?
yeah. Well, my mom would follow my dad around everywhere he went. He was like follow him like little footsteps, one behind the other.
But your mother had, and both of your parents, I see here, met at Temple University, and then your mother was a missionary.
Yes, Argentina and Costa
Yes,
Rica, two different,
yes.
and then spent a day in the Philippines.
Wow.
Just one whole day in the Philippines. But yeah, I never get to see those pictures at all, which is.
But we
kinda
have some
see
other
some of
wonderful pictures here.
Yes.
And your father went to seminary?
Yeah, he went to Dallas Theological Seminary in Dallas, Texas, but he went to other schoolings. But he was so highly upon Dallas Theological Seminary. He spoke high of that college, and
Nice.
I think he was really glad he went.
Well, their love was very deep because they came back together
Yeah,
and they got married.
Right.
After she had been a missionary
right.
and after he had gone to seminary.
Yes.
And then they reunited.
Yes.
And so, wow, what a love story. That's
Yes.
wonderful. That's a wonderful.
You'd be
Now,
surprised.
I understand that your father, he was a chaplain in the Air Force.
Chaplain.
And we have this picture. Tell
Yeah.
us a bit about this picture.
I don't remember this at all. As a
We have
baby,
this
I
one.
have one. I have that picture. It just doesn't really ring a bell.
Well-
The 1 year old, it really, it kind of shocks me in a way.
well,
But I just don't remember Japan.
Japan. So that's what I. That's
Japan,
where we are.
We have some,
Japan.
things outside that were kept. They had in Japan, I'd never seen it happen, but they would they delivered this Japan doll. The girl said it's some special, and then afterwards, and just said, "This is your gift
Oh, nice.
from us to you as
Oh,
a
that's
gift."
wonderful.
And they kept a cup of water supposed to keep the doll fresh. But then it's all in glass. Most it's all in glass. And
Beautiful.
there's like a thin cover in the back. But
So I understand that
door,
your
very
your
thin.
family was in Japan for 3 years. For 3 years, and then you came back to the United States. So you were a
Right.
world traveler
Right.
on an ocean liner. On
Yes.
an ocean liner.
Yeah.
Now, you know, it would be wonderful if we really could remember when we were your age and your
Right.
brother's age, Jim.
Right.
Your brother Jim.
Yes.
Your older brother.
Yeah, he's year and a half older than I am. He's born in 59, born in 61.
Okay, you just gave away everybody's age.
Yeah.
That's just
yeah.
fine.
I'm sorry to say, but sorry.
That's all in fun. We're all in the family.
Have a humor.
Yes, absolutely. But look at this picture of you all on the ocean liner.
Yeah.
That's just wonderful.
Yeah.
Sailing
I don't
from
know that.
Japan and then through Honolulu.
Yeah.
And do you recall being told what bridge that is?
No, I don't. The only one I
Well.
can remember is the only one I can recall is the Golden Gate Bridge.
That's it.
That's not the Golden Gate
That's
Bridge.
the Golden Gate
It
Bridge.
is?
Yes, it is. Can you just imagine? We're going to take everybody on this trip. An ocean liner from Japan through Honolulu to San Francisco.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, what a wonderful
But,
journey. What a
yes.
wonderful journey. And so you ended up being here in the United States. And actually, after your father was also in Thailand before he even went
Yeah.
to Japan. So,
right.
you know, traveling with the Air Force and he was a
Right.
captain. He was a
Yes.
captain in the military.
Yep.
So here we have another picture of your father. And we have this cover of a book. Tell us about the fact that your father was an author.
He started running. He started running before the book, of course. He run before the book came out, and he had this thing going. He wanted to write a book on running, and he got Jim was in the first original copy. A couple of pictures. He had it. There's out on main route outside the road. Took a couple of pictures. He used I think 4 pictures inside the book.
And I understand that he
But,
was jogging and helped to popularize the whole jogging
Yes.
life.
Actually,
we know
there-
now.
I had recorded, don't have it no more, and there's a radio station, Harry, I can't keep his last name, but that's besides the point, and he sort of sang a song about he ranged for so many miles, and he wore the shoes down, you know,
Okay.
sort of thing.
Okay.
You know,
Maybe he was
just-
inspired by your
but he's
father's
inspiring. And I hear Hayden Gilmore's has running. He ran a marathon and everything, and got people listening over the radio station.
Yes, and I want to thank you too because you gave me one of the books, so you
Yes.
know that will inspire me
Yes.
to move a little bit more. I'm not sure about jogging, but you know maybe it'll get me up and moving around a little
Right,
bit more.
right,
Okay,
right,
okay.
right.
So your father was an author, and you know also in the military, and you moved eventually to Colorado.
Yes, in Aurora, Colorado. And see, I was so young. I can't remember very much about it. Except the only one incident I can remember is one day I was flying a kite, and got the kite so high up in the air the string broke.
Oh wow!
And it flew so high that when it came down, it went into someone's yard. You had to climb over the fence to get the kite.
Oh wow! You must have really loved that
Yeah,
kite.
I remember that. That's the part I can remember about Colorado. But the other one's like, I can't remember. Just for
Yes.
some reason, I can't.
Well, probably
Too
really
young.
bluer skies than
Yes.
we have here. You know,
Yeah.
very often, if
Right.
we were anywhere, you know, out in Colorado, that's one of the things they always talk about is how much sunshine they have.
Right,
You know, it's a
right.
beautiful state. And so then, you know, we also have that you played in, you know, the school grounds and your father's Chevy Impala, which is, you know, some of us can remember that.
Right.
So are these pictures here? We have pictures again of your family.
The Chevy Impala, I sort of can remember, but see, I just don't know.
I remember those tail fins or
Yeah,
whatever. I
they're a bit
remember
old.
that.
I think that's like a 68.
I think
I think
59, maybe a
59.
59.
Yeah, it
59.
goes so far back. But my dad had the Impala, Chevy Impala. I only saw one car around the area that was driven around, and I stood there and watched that car drive down the road. Someone owned a Chevy Impala. It brought back memories of that car.
That's nice.
Because it was so hard in the wintertime to start. It was fine in the spring, summer, and fall, but I tell you, to get things going, to get to church,
Okay.
you know,
Okay.
just click, I'll have to try it again.
Yes, yes.
Oh, got it going. Just keep it going. Go in the house, get warmed up, and got us going.
It took a
but
while for them
it
to
took a
warm up
while.
back then. I
Very
remember
hard.
those days, you know.
Yeah.
I remember those days
Yes.
when it was that you had to
Right.
turn the car on and let it run for quite a while before the heat came on.
Right.
And actually, the fact that you have these beautiful black and white pictures, I really have to make a comment about that, because the photos that, you know, your family has offered to us to be able to show your life are just, you know, a treasure.
Right. Right.
Because very often, you know, we don't get to see our lives in black and white, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, whoever the photographer was.
My grandmother,
Yes.
when she gave pictures, I noticed she would always put the month, day, and year it was taken.
Yes. Yes.
She's faithful upon that. It was there. He's like that's grandmother picture,
That's
you know,
wonderful.
grandmother days. But
That's wonderful. So you were in Colorado, and then your family moved to Pennsylvania.
yes,
Tell me about Pennsylvania. And that's where and here we are. We have to look at these, like I said,
well,
Dwight has not changed
Pennsylvania,
everybody.
we had a family at the end of our street, and the very first day we were in the Unpacked, and he had I think it was two boys, the Kellys,
Okay.
and the very first day, hey, you want to go out and hang out? And they're so warm. They came to the house. Yeah, we'll go out and play or whatever we were doing that day.
Yes.
We went and hung out together, and all their lives growing up in that area. And I sort of miss that today in this area, because I don't get it. I mean, I know people, but it's very short. They'll give you 5-10 minutes, and that's all you get. Okay.
Yes,
Okay,
well,
whatever.
you
I
know.
guess you're too busy. Give me
Well, we can
time-wise.
we can learn a lot
You
from
know?
children. We can learn a
Right,
lot from
yeah,
children. They're not
yeah,
afraid to make friends
right,
with each other.
right,
So
right.
these are wonderful pictures. And actually, I do remember when the date would actually be on the picture. Don't we miss these times?
Yep,
June
yep.
1964. These are
Yep.
wonderful pictures. Like I said, you haven't changed a bit. So tell me a little bit about the time that you were in Pennsylvania. You spent most of your life in Pennsylvania.
Most of my life spent in Pennsylvania.
Tell me the name of the town. You can pronounce it better than I can.
Tunkhannock.
Tunk.
Tunkhanock. Tunkhannock.
Tunkhannock.
My dad would say Tunkanunk.
Okay, all right.
Put that in a little brief
All
in.
righty. So you went to school there.
Went to school, yeah. But most of it spent in Tunkhannock, and then we moved out in 70. Let's see, because Jim went to college at University of Pennsylvania. He graduated in 77, went to college in University of Pennsylvania.
Okay.
But I think we went to Nescahoning and spent over 6 years in Nescahoning.
Okay.
But most of it spent in Tunkhannock.
So let's look at this picture. This looks like
Mom-
an elementary school picture. You look like you're, you know, not really quite happy with the photographer, but but that's Dwight. And
Yeah.
tell us about the picture. Who's in the picture there on the right?
That's my Grandma Gilmore.
Okay.
It goes my Grandma Gilmore, my mom, and I can't
Is that your
remember
dad?
the other. I can't remember.
Is that your dad?
I I don't think he wore glasses like that. I don't remember him seeing.
That's fine. That's
Deborah.
fine.
I
I love
can't
the picture of
remember.
you, though. I'm sure that's a
I,
school
I
picture.
said that's me, and then
And your
my
bow
brother, I
tie.
think. Yeah, but I think I think that was, I can't remember.
So while you were
Yeah.
in Pennsylvania, I understand that your
Right.
father went to Syracuse University and received his master's degree.
Master's degree.
Yes, and then
Yeah.
he joined the pastorate,
Right.
the American Baptist Church. So he continued to be a minister.
Right. And
Yes.
matter of fact, he took on 4 churches. Sometimes he had 5.
Oh my goodness.
And it got to the point sometimes, like after preaching 4 times, because the only time he could talk to anyone is at the last service. At the last service over, he could talk, but he had to be nice to excuse himself. He had to move on to another service.
Wow. Says so much
But
about your
I
father.
noticed he didn't, when he wrote his sermons. He did my memory. He didn't by write down stuff to read off the paper. He actually memorized. He was pretty good at it.
Wow.
By memory, what he was saying, it's like a copyright, But
See, those are times we wish that we had the technology
You
we
write-
have
write it
now, so we
down.
would be
You're
able to
pretty-
see his sermons.
yeah.
That
yeah.
sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
And your mother was a substitute teacher?
My mom's substitute teacher. Yeah, she had a degree in special education.
Okay. I understand that you were in her class one time.
Yeah, one time, and I remember because students are around said, "That's your mommy," but I sort of kept it at a calm level. I didn't really, and she took me as just like another student class. My son's in this room, so.
Yes, I always say, well, what do you
Yes.
call a person who's a relative? You call her Mrs. Gilmore? Or you say,
Yeah.
raise your
Yeah,
hand and say, hello,
one
Mom.
time, right.
All right. I understand your father wrote another pamphlet, The Lift of the Club. The Lift of the Club. We have this pamphlet here.
Yes.
Yes.
One story came out of that. They had this fellow. He came by motorcycle, and he came up from, I don't know how he got onto this, and he saw it, and it got him interested, and he came on motorcycle from the North Carolina, and saw it, but he really took a thing to golf, and the guy, I think he came from North Carolina. He actually has a 9-hole golf course.
Oh, wow.
In back of his house. You can play golf anytime you want.
Wow.
You don't have to travel,
He has a
pay
big house.
the fee to go play golf. You can play
lot of
free on
land.
its own.
So your father used golf
Yeah.
as a metaphor
Yes.
to present the gospel.
Right,
Christian
right.
gospel.
Yes, yeah.
Wow.
Any way he could,
Your father sounds like quite a man. Your mother and father,
Yes.
for sure, for
Yeah.
sure. And so let us come and talk more about these wonderful pictures of you and your brother, Jim. I remember a swing like that could hold more than one person.
Yeah, they're hard to
That's
find.
nice.
There's far
Yes,
few
they are.
between. Not too many
Yes,
people have.
Yes.
But you see, sometimes
These
I find
pictures just take me back.
sometimes I find I like sometimes when people put things out on the lawn. I find sometimes it's tacky, but other times I kind of like that. I like the baskets, maybe a plant in them or something.
Yes.
But sometimes they put out these old beat up bicycles. I mean, why put the plant on a little beat up bicycle? I don't quite understand that.
Well, they're
but
letting
feel
people know
like
they
it,
don't
you know?
necessarily want them any
Yeah.
longer. So you graduated from high school in 1980.
80, yeah.
From high school, what was the name of your high school?
Panther Valley High School.
Okay.
There were the Panthers, the Panther Valley, but
And what happened that year, 1980? We were talking about this a little bit.
of course I graduated in 80.
And there was a hockey.
Yeah,
Game that
the USA hockey team won the gold medal
Yes.
that year.
And
back
they were.
in 80.
Do you remember who they were playing?
They were, I think they played USSR.
Russia?
I
Yes,
think they would play
yes,
USSR, and they won. But I tell you, when we won that game, we had a cat named Tanya. My dad yelled and jumped. I mean, not my dad, but the cat we had, Tanya. It jumped so high up the air, it scared the cat. Ran. We were so high and loud. We actually won the gold medal that year.
Oh wow! That was a reflection of being excited
that cat
about.
had a leap ability. You believe
That's
you could?
funny.
We drag a piece of newspaper on the ground. It would slide. So one time we dragged it on the ground. We picked it up. It hit into the rocking chair. Never did it again.
Wow! Wow!
It was
So let's
something
talk
else.
about some of the things that that you've done. I understand that you would sing with your mother in church.
Yeah, we did some duets in church. Being in the church choir a couple times.
Now, I think this picture may be back on the ship. I think, but that's okay.
Yeah,
and
it looks sad.
and the house with the
kinda.
red door.
Yes,
Do you remember where that was?
that's Tunkhannock.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's in Pennsylvania.
That's
in Pennsylvania.
house.
That's wonderful. That's
Yeah.
wonderful. So tell me about some of the things that you've done, just some of the experiences that you've had in working and some other people that you've met in your life.
Like, for example, around here.
Well, around
or-
here or otherwise in Pennsylvania, I understand that you work for the Department of Motor Vehicles.
Yes, the DMV.
Mm-hmm.
I worked there a few years at DMV,
Yes.
and I actually got a plaque.
Yes.
And met Harry Belafonte.
Oh,
in
tell us
person.
about that.
Harry, and got dinner, croissants, overnight stay. I had the whole package. I was telling the town, I had the package with me.
Okay.
Not on me. I had it with me. But,
Now tell me about this award. What was your award?
I was made a finalist.
Mm-hmm.
I was one of the finalists taking pictures, taking photos. We worked through the blind and handicapped, but people wouldn't quite understand. They would get mad at us because we couldn't get into PennDOT's information, get their ID done or their driver's license done. They would get mad. Hey, that's all you can do is take your picture. You have your
Yes.
camera card.
Mhm.
That's all we could do. But the fellow that won the award, he got $500.
Oh, wow.
He got $500, but because he worked through his wheelchair, he drove his car and went to a lot of these parks, the roadside parks, and cleaned all the parks.
Oh, wow.
That was his job, and he
gave
got
him
an
an
award
award.
for that. And
For his service.
yeah,
That's wonderful. So how was it meeting Harry Belafonte? Tell us about that experience.
Harry was nice. He started singing, but then I think he just felt like he couldn't sing the whole song. To the point he sort of changed his mind at that point and started speaking instead.
Well, he was an elder by then, 2005. That actually
Yes.
was not
Yeah,
comparatively speaking
I
that long ago.
I actually wrote
About
down,
18
I
years
brought it
ago.
here with me. I wrote, I put down when he died, I put on the calendar, he died April 25th of this year.
Yes.
He was 96 years old, which is kind of a
Isn't that
long time to
something?
live.
Yes,
at
yes,
96.
yes. Not only I remember Harry Belafonte when I was a child. My sister and I knew all of his songs.
Oh,
We
really?
probably have that same album that you do.
Right.
But then really just to think about the civil rights,
Right.
icon that he, turned out to be till the end of his life. Just,
Yeah.
a towering figure in civil
Yeah.
rights.
He
Just a
was
wonderful person.
well spoken. My dad thought he really spoke well at the event. He really,
He was the speaker.
yeah.
That's
speaker.
wonderful. I mean, that's just a gift.
Right.
To say that you met Harry Belafonte.
Yes.
Many people
Yeah.
would want to be able
Very
to say
few.
that about, somebody important they met in their lives.
Right.
And so tell us a bit about some of the jobs that you've done and your involvement in Shaker, but just tell us some of the work that you've done.
Well, I've did some like yard work, and I've paint a little bit. I'm not big on painting, but I paint a little bit. Just organizing stuff.
Yes.
Just sort of see where things need to go.
I have to tell you something kind of funny. So remember I had the movie night
Yes.
I guess it was a month or so ago, right?
Right.
And so Dwight offered to organize my garage. So I was like, okay, so what are you trying to tell me?
Well, I was trying to figure out in my head. I know. I think I could. I have it sort of figured out.
You have an eye.
Give me a time. I could sort of figure out my head where it sort of needs to go without having to tell
Right.
me, put it here, put it there.
Yes.
Tired of that. People
That
telling
was
you where you
funny.
need to put
That
it,
was funny because we ended up
gotta
putting the
figure it out.
screen. We put the screen inside the garage, and,
Right.
and Dwight offered to help me arrange my stuff.
Yeah.
I'm going to remember that, Dwight. I'm going to invite you over one day to do that. So you've done landscaping. You've done some other things around here. Tell me about Pearl of the Orient. You shared with me.
In Pearl of the Orient,
And many of us may remember
that's my
restaurant.
one day a week spot. I always went up on Sunday.
Now, for those
At
who may
certain
not.
times, I got to go up there to Pearl, have my cup of coffee up there.
Yes,
Y'all
and
know
for
me.
some people who may not know, Pearl of the Orient was a restaurant in the
Right.
Van Aken area,
Right.
and then they moved. Well, they were still in Van Aken, and then they closed.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because it got moved because of the district. They had to move. Ian Rhodes wanted to be one of the last people to move out of the Van Aken. She was trying to fight to stay, but yet I'll be the last one to go. I want to.
Yes.
She's sort of that way. She sort of.
And they closed, and you went to an event at the Pearl of the Orient.
Yeah, I went to. They had a closing of celebration that I was invited to. They allowed me to go.
Nice.
There was only about maybe 3 dozen. There weren't a whole lot. They kept it sort of private.
Yes, people were sad to see it go, but now it's it's another restaurant there.
Right.
And some of the other things that you do, you go to the football games.
I
What
go
do you do?
football games. I volunteer myself. You know, matter of fact, my brother took me to see Shaker play over last weekend.
Okay.
We lost.
Oh,
We were hoping the opposite.
Okay.
But, we lost.
well, it's probably just
Good
mid-season.
game. Yeah.
Hopefully
yeah.
they'll win.
Yeah, I'm hoping. Well, I'm looking at this as if we can just come out 1 or 2 more games. I think we're in playoffs.
Okay.
My brother thinks that the quarterback so it's kind of weird. Crazy.
That's nice. I'm sure that they look.
Does pretty well. But
I'm sure they look for you in the stands, you know, to be there at the football games.
Right.
And we have more pictures. Is this you and your brother?
Yes. The one with my mother and my brother. This is the Wyalusing Rocks. This is just high, overlooking, and that's the. I think that's the Susquehanna River is down below.
Beautiful.
And, people stop there just to relax.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not like a big, picnic area where you can
but it's
snack out and stuff. But,
it's just so scenic.
yeah,
I mean,
my dad worked at a French Marie Antoinette building. It's a historical building, and my dad was like a manager there, and he was but he wanted to live there all his life, live there all year round, but he couldn't do that because of preaching. But he could do, lead tours when the times the tour days are coming up. You'll have to be there, take around tours. But the lady, he knows when he goes out of the house, like all the pictures and everything, they're all low on the wall, thinking the lady must have been very short.
Oh, okay.
You can read more of the history on the Marie Antoinette building.
Oh, wow.
But it's a big, open, wide area, and there's right in the middle of it, there's this little, I think it's a Baptist church. It's very, very small. It's like a little secondhand floor block of this church. Way is wide open field. It's a little
yes.
country church
And I
way
know.
out there in the middle of the field. You know?
Yes, beautiful. I mean, Pennsylvania is just a beautiful
Yeah.
state. It really is. I mean,
Right.
this time of year,
Right.
you know, in the fall, I'm going to do a plug for I-80.
Right.
Driving
You know-
from
you know,
here
but-
up to, I mean, the mountains, the
what's
foliage.
wild, I was driving at the time,
Mhm.
and there was this. I should have taken a picture. I didn't do it. I
Okay.
should have.
Well, you were driving.
I was
Okay.
driving at the time, and there was this barn, and that little, what's that little thing? Silo over?
Okay, yes.
It was it wasn't straight. It was like hanging, leaning over, like ready to
Oh,
fall.
interesting.
And I don't know, that's interesting. I should take a picture because it was it's like hanging over the roadway.
Wow.
I should have. It's too late now.
But this is fall. This is our season.
Right.
This is our
right.
season, Dwight, because we're both fall babies.
Right.
Your birthday's in November,
Yes.
mine's in October.
Yes, yes.
So, you know, the most
Right.
beautiful time of the year.
Right.
So, you know, Pennsylvania, and well, just around Cleveland, what am I talking about?
Yeah.
You know, we're going to have all our yellows and oranges
Yeah.
and all.
Yeah.
And so, so you also are a member of St. Peter's Lutheran Church, right?
St.
here in
Peter's Lutheran
Shaker?
Church.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You've been there for a while.
I've been there for a while. They had transferred, of course, the former minister, he, of course, moved out of the area, and he moved twice.
Okay.
But he's semi-close. I would not close, but
Okay, that's good. You're
he's
very
still
involved.
preacher.
Yes, you know, a little bit more about your family. I understand that your great-grandparents and your grandparents are from Wales.
Yes.
Yes.
My Grandma Gilmore,
Mm-hmm.
Grandpa Gilmore, he was very, very quiet. I can remember, I actually had to lean over to hear what he's talking because, and the only thing I can remember is him. He was, he'd been in a rocking chair, listening to Welsh music.
Oh, nice. Oh,
He liked listening. That's all I can remember him. But he was very quiet, very humble, very quiet,
nice.
down to earth. But she was a talker.
Okay.
She's just the opposite. You could get her to shut up. My dad would say, because I think my mom knew my dad like a book, and because my dad had two other boys, but my grandmother Gilmore was the hardest on him, my dad, because anything she told him to do, he had to go do it because you get grandma's orders. He had to go do it. He had to go and take ballet lessons. He didn't want to take ballet.
Well, he
made
was very
ballet
well-rounded.
lessons.
Yes.
But yeah, he was sick for a year. He couldn't, and she was he had to stay in bed for a whole year she would sit by his bedside and have all his books, make sure he wouldn't, because that's how strong she felt. No son of mine's repeated a single grade. It's going to go to the next level.
Okay.
She was that strong, but there was a lot of grandmother in him, but he would admit it, but he knew it. My mom said that she's right, you know, there is. There's a lot of grandmother in him.
Yes.
But he would admit it, but he knew she was saying right. You know?
Grandmothers, no.
Yep.
Speaking from my perspective, all righty.
Yeah.
So tell me, I know that you've been involved for a long time with the Moreland Network.
Yeah, I've been doing events and trying to get involved with them.
Sounds like you knew from the beginning how people were involved.
I think my brother and Beth kind of come to realize that, see, when I first moved to Ohio, they got me hooked up with this plan Northeast Ohio, which dealt with mental illness issues. Because one of the things that they talked about was, well, now Dwight's in Ohio. First, he needs a telephone, and second of all, he needs something to do because he doesn't know no one, you know. And that's where plan came into to effect, where you get to know people.
Yes.
And to the point, as long as I'm with a group of people that they know, that's fine, you know. But just, I think there are times where when I'm by myself, they kind of wonder, you know. But
we all need community.
You have to keep positive on that, you know.
Yes,
And
yes.
I still think that is as of today too. But I think you realize it's a good place to be in, because people make sure you're safe. You know, they look out for me. I appreciate people 100% when they tell me that.
Yes.
Because they're always looking out, make sure I'm okay. And I'm fine, I'm okay. You don't have to worry about me. I'm doing something here. You know.
Yes. You do a lot.
Fine. I do a lot. I try my best to do stuff.
I mean, and I only know from, you know, your involvement with Moreland, but, you know, I've seen you at the Eastview Church. I thought you were a member of Eastview.
No.
So when we did the
I know
recording,
people,
because you're so close to so many people.
Go to, you know, they'll go to our events. I know them that way.
Yes.
You know.
Yes. And I want to thank your brother Jim and your sister-in-law Beth, because they've been so supportive and assisting us with all these wonderful pictures.
Yeah, I couldn't have done without them, I think, picture-wise, because I had pictures, but I don't have a lot of them, but it just try to put it all together, you know.
Yes.
It all takes time, you know, time and place.
And I think that as we talked maybe in the spring about when you would be on Witness to History, and you said October, I said, and you gave me your brother's number at that time.
Yeah, well, I made sure you had all three, because you get one, hit another one. You try to connect somehow, you know.
Yes.
All part of being connective, you know.
Yes, absolutely.
Being connected, and that's what I try to get people doing. You know, we try and tell people we need to branch out more. It's nice to have people already know, but we need to still branch out even further.
Yes. And
you know,
on that point,
people.
You told me something about what you would suggest that we do next spring in the Moreland area about a picnic.
Well, I think it would be nice, because just one thing Plan does, and they look for it every year, is to have a picnic, a family picnic, where we all get to know each other. And one of the games they play is, I don't know if you know, is the water balloon game.
No.
You catch it, you step one step back and throw it up there and try to catch it. You get wet until it comes out to whoever comes out
the wettest.
Not wettest wins. You know, the balloons. You have a bunch of small balloons. You toss it back and forth.
Yes, kids like that.
That's a big game they play. Like playing.
So we should put this out here now. It's October 2023.
Yes.
And so you're saying that this is a good idea for us to do next spring.
I think next spring we should start something like that. Get the, you know, it's nice that we know people, the names and so forth. But I think it'd be nice to get even more people.
Oh, of course.
You know, get to know more of the back. Not just personally, just know them. It makes it bigger. I know our number has been cut in half, but I think we need to get bring back the other half and some. You know, you make it, instead of 20, make it 40, make it 50, or you push 60. That'd be great.
Oh, of course. There are plenty of people in the neighborhood.
That's a good sized long group. Then you have a lot of people have different things on their minds. It's in the same, you know.
So we're
it gets old sometimes.
So we're going to nudge you at one of our Moreland Network meetings, and we're going to say, put that as one of the conversations that we'll have, because it'll take some time to plan. It'll take some time to plan. So what else is it that you have done? It looks like you've had other jobs in your life, you know, some of the things you've done in logging and, you know, some other things that you did when you were in Pennsylvania.
I mean, I've helped out. I've done this guy, Joe, I normally work for like 3-4 times a week. I've done even seal coating a driveway. I've done that. Back in Pennsylvania, I worked at Procter & Gamble. I worked at a wood yard, you know, wood yards. And I even got to take as far as even work at stone quarries, the toughest. But
what is that?
stone quarry where he cut stone.
Oh.
And he had to stack them. I mean, worked with these two brothers, and I guess the forklift got stolen, and here we are.
Oh my goodness.
Had to stack it by hand. Oh my God. You know, that's even more trouble. But I look at trees today, working at company called Deer Park Lumber back out of town. You know, you drive by a tree, but you don't know how much it takes for the tree to be torn down, broken down, be taken out, to be hauled away. It goes through quite a bit of steps.
Yes.
It does. I sort of count on my head how many different steps it goes. It goes like 8 or 9 steps before it gets hauled out.
Interesting. Yeah,
it goes through a lot. It does.
People don't necessarily think
it goes from a circle of a tree, all the bark gets cut off to a square, and then it gets cut off in different sizes, and then it got to be, heated up. It goes through a lot of steps. You don't realize it until you hit or bump into one. It does go through a lot of steps. But.
So this has been absolutely wonderful,
Yep.
Dwight. You know, as people are watching our Witness to History this
Right.
evening on October 8th,
Right.
we are also live.
Yeah.
I will say this, Dwight is at my house, and we have so many people who have joined us this evening who have an opportunity to ask questions of you once we close our recording.
Right.
But as always, of course, I'm looking for other people to be guests on Witness to History. And so I think everybody who's ever seen Witness to History knows my email address and my telephone number, and I'm just waiting for you to call. And so, we look forward to having other of our neighbors in the Moreland area and beyond, to be guests on Witness to History. I want to thank you, Dwight.
Oh, sure.
Thank you so much.
Sure,
We're so
sure.
looking forward to this.
Well, I've been looking forward to it, and I'll say it again.
Yes.
I think I've been for a long time now. I'm not going to count how many, counting, but I feel it's a good time for me to do this because I feel that a lot of people know my name, but they don't know a lot of my background, things I've gone through in life. I've gone through in schooling to the point, Jim, I don't think, but I went through a whole year. The student was actually strapped down to the front seat because his eyes, he's really handicapped. He would yell out things. He would, Bob, settle down, quiet down. Stop saying that. He would know you saying, bad things. He would shout it out. I went through the whole year like that. He couldn't help himself.
Wow.
He just went, but he was the first one on. I think he was the first one off the bus. Always strapped to the front, and there was always two. There was a driver in the front, and there was a guy in the back watching students, make sure they all behave themselves while on the school bus. But yeah, Bobby, he's a corker.
And you can help us
Trooper.
understand. You can help us all understand the humanity in everybody.
Yeah,
and experiences that everybody has.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Thank you so much, Dwight.
I don't know how it's like special ed. I went through a life that for 4 years back in Pennsylvania, I didn't want to be recognized. I didn't want to. It was kind of hard for me to talk about it because it would come up in phases, and I didn't want to start out, and I didn't want to be pointed out. There's a stupid person. There's a stupid student over there. Look at him. I didn't want that. It was kind of hard till I moved out of the area.
Well, that was
like 4 years like
yes,
that.
Yes.
In life, I just didn't.
And people don't necessarily understand.
I don't need to be fun of.
Yes.
I'm slow, but sometimes I'm slow trying to catch on to things. But I bet you pick it up and learn it. But
well, it takes us all to help everybody.
It takes time.
It helps us all. It means that we all have to help people understand.
I tell you one last story. And as a family, we were sitting in and I had a, not, I wasn't lashing out, but I just had a break. And Jim told me, just listen to what Dwight had to say. My parents were in the dining room, myself, and I had to speak my thing.
Yes.
I just got to the point, I just had to say my piece. I wasn't mad or nothing. Things were going on in my life, and I just had to say my thing. I had to do my thing, you know?
Yes.
At the only time I had that opportunity as a family, you know, I think I was still pushing towards high school. I wasn't even quite in high school yet. I had an opportunity.
Well, you are a...
But I get opportunities, but I don't get much time. You know?
Well, Dwight, you know,
limited time.
You are a valued member of our community. You are, and everybody understands that. Yeah. And we really appreciate the time that you've taken today to share, you know, your wonderful family, just amazing stories. And like you said, people know you a little bit better now.
Yeah, I'm glad to say, because
yes,
at least we won't think of me just a name. You know, I'm more just a name.
Oh, I don't think people were thinking you were just a name.
Just
anyway,
a name,
we know you. We know everybody knows
names,
Dwight Gilmore. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Oh, no problem.
So we're going to close and open to our audience. So if anyone has questions or comments or wants to, you know, post something in the chat, please feel free to do so. And I would just like to say good evening to you all. Thank you.